Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Let's have a look at the Cronulla-Sutherland Sharks fixture for 2025. And entering the season, the Sharkies find themselves in a top 3 favourites position. Let's get stuck into it. Fair dinkum. The first 10 weeks for the Cronulla Sharks is kind of mind-blowing. Everyone for the past 3 years now just about have said Sharkies have an easy draw. Man, have a go at this. I usually break things into 5 weeks and sections or whatever. This is the first 10 weeks for the Cronulla Sharks in 2025. Now, let me include the preseason here, right? So they host the Warriors next Friday in the first game of the preseason challenge. 1 week later, they zip down to Canberra to take on the Raiders. So it's the Warriors and the Raiders in the preseason challenge for Cronulla. Now, round number 1, they are one of the 4 teams to participate in the Las Vegas games. They're against the Penrith Panthers. In round number 2, so they have a week off, but in round number 2, they're away to North Queensland. It is Saturday twilight football in Townsville. Now, thankfully, round number 3 and 4, they're at home. They're at Shark Park. They host South Sydney Saturday afternoon. 1 week later, they host the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs for Saturday night footy. Then they have a short turnaround. They play the Saturday night in round number 4. They then play on the Thursday night back down at GIO Stadium against the Raiders. In round number 6, they are the home team. It is the Battle of the Beaches, but it isn't happening anywhere on the east coast of Australia. It is emanating out on the west coast. It is Sharks versus the Sea Eagles at Optus Stadium, Saturday 3 p.m. it says here. In round number 7 and 8, they are on the road again in Sydney, or New South Wales. Newcastle, in Newcastle, Channel 9 Sunday afternoon football. And then 1 week later, in the same time slot, they're at Leichhardt Oval for the West Tigers. In round 9, they have taken a home game to Suncorp Stadium for Magic Round, and this is off another short turnaround. They take on the Tigers at Leichhardt Oval on a Sunday arvo, and then they take on the Parramatta Eels Friday 6 p.m, the first game of Magic Round. And to finish off the first 10 weeks of the season, they are away to Manly. They play Manly twice in the space of a month, and they play them Sunday afternoon at 4 Pines Park. Get friggin' real with that, Sharks. If they can go 7 wins and 3 losses, we're really talking about them as grand final contenders. They really are. If they go 5-5, I'll still have admiration for that. But if they have a disastrous start, they could be cooked. That start to the Sharks for the Sharks is intense. Now that first 10-week period is out of the way, how does it look now? So part number 2, a match against the Melbourne Storm, Saturday night footy, and this will be the first game at Shark Park since round number 3. That is going to be chock-a-block, man. That is going to be huge. In round number 12, a split round, they're away to the Roosters up in Gosford, so another random location for Cronulla. In round 13, they have a very, very much needed bye, the first bye for 2025. In round 14 and 15, great news here, they have back-to-back home games. They host the Warriors Saturday twilight footy. That will be a fully loaded affair. In round number 15, they take on their crosstown rivals, or very close rivals in the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I don't know what you call it. Is that the Great Southern Derby, I think it's called? I don't know. But round 15, it falls on a split round, so this will be an origin-affected game between the Sharks and the Dragons for Thursday night football. And again there, they play back-to-back home games, but one is on a Saturday. The next one is going to be on a Thursday night. And the strength of opposition, you've got the Storm in there, but then you're taking on the Roosters, which is going to be an Origin-affected game. Warriors, well, AFB is taking on his old club in the New Zealand Warriors, so that is going to have a lot of media attention on it as well. And then the Dragons in an Origin-affected game, so that doesn't get any easier for Cronulla. Part number 3, they're on the road, back-to-back weeks. One against the Brisbane Broncos a couple of days after State of Origin 2. That's happening in Perth. As far as Origin representation goes for Cronulla, I don't know who they've got. Maybe Blake Brayley makes his debut in New South Wales colours. Maybe Nico Hines gets a recall to the squad. But they're away to Brisbane in what will be surely an Origin-affected game. That includes Brisbane. Maybe Walsh might not play and what have you. But that's on Sunday. That's at Sunday, 2 o'clock. Round 17, this will be a fully loaded affair. Melbourne Storm versus the Cronulla-Sutherland Sharks at Amy Park. That is Sunday, 2 o'clock. Round 18, they have a bye, which falls on a split round. And in round 19, they're back at Shark Park a few days after Game 3 of State of Origin to host the Dolphins. So part number 3 for them, it's Broncos and Storm. They have a bye. And then they take on the Dolphins as well for Friday night football. One of those games is Origin affected. Bloody hell. If the Sharks are still alive, usually Sharks like to keep their heads below the water, but this time around, if their heads are above water and they're still alive for the finals, what does their run to the finals look like? Round number 20, they have a home game. That is technically 2 games in a row where they're at home. They have the Roosters for Friday night footy. 1 week later, round 21, they're away to South Sydney. Their second trip to Gosford. Round number 22, North Queensland are in town for Sunday afternoon footy. The Dragons then lie in wait at Cogra, so that's not too much of a travel this time for them. Saturday afternoon footy. Round number 24, they host the Gold Coast Titans for Saturday afternoon footy. Then they have their third and final bye in round 25. And then they return to action against the Newcastle Knights at Shark Park for Sunday 2 o'clock action. And their final game of the home and away regular season emanates from Accor Stadium for Channel 9 Saturday night footy against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. So in that run to the finals, they have Roosters and Souths and Cowboys. And then besides Dogs, it does dip a little bit with respect to the Dragons, Newcastle, and the Gold Coast Titans. So the run to the finals, that's not too bad. It's a 50-50 case for me. You've all been clamouring for it. Even I am guilty of it. I've got my hand up for it too. That, for 3/4 of the year, maybe a little bit more than that, that is the hardest draw, surely. South Sydney can maybe lay claim to it, but Sharkies have their hand way up for having the hardest draw for 2025. That's intense. And then you also think about they're away to the Melbourne Storm, they're away to the Brisbane Broncos, and they play Penrith in Las Vegas. And then the teams they play twice as well. And it is Melbourne, it is South Sydney, and the Bulldogs as well, including Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. That's intense. I think the bottom line is they need to start well after the first 10 weeks. They need to, at the very least, be 50% in their win-loss ratio. You've all been asking for it. Cronulla Sharks have a very hard draw for 2025. Howdy guys, thank you very much for your continuous support. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios. #RidenHigh 2025.